Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Happy Friday to all of you. Very nice to see you all. And let me apologize about last Friday, but I had to take that day off, ladies and gentlemen. We had an impromptu family day that day. And let me say hello to a few of you. We have a lot to talk about today. This is going to be a jam packed live stream, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on salutations. We'll save that for our Q&A towards the end for those of you that want to stick around. But we've got a lot to cover, and I had a great what do you call it? A great response to what I did during our last live stream a couple weeks ago. I went ahead and took out the meat and potatoes and broke it up into like 3 or 4 different videos, and people really liked that because they got to pick and choose what they wanted to listen about. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again with this one. They probably won't be out until probably Sunday afternoon or so, because it takes me a long time to go ahead and extract those short videos from the live stream. But a lot of people liked it, and if a lot of people liked it and we can get the information out more to more people, then that's good. I'll go ahead and do that. So let's say hello to Amazing Grandma. How are you doing? 20 War Child 20. How are you? Douglas Kuhn from Illinois. How are you doing? Good to see you. Mimi, good afternoon. How are you doing? Good evening to you. Rebecca, Kimberly, Foley, Tracy Bailey. How are you doing? Colleen Rich. How are you? M. Gregorio. How are you doing? M. Gregorio. Who's your pioneer? Jeremy Weninger from Vegas. Welcome. Deb Bartlett, Dale Robertson, Michelle Law. How are you? Randy Brown. How you doing, Jan? Good to see you. I saw Yarn Prepper here as well. JT is in the house, and Miss Worm is in the house too. Good to see you, Copernicus. Michelle Galvin, how you doing? Niece's World, Golden Diver, and Copernicus. You and Yarn Prepper. I don't think that Jan or JT have like a side hustle, but I know that Copernicus, Miss Worm, but I'll always call you Copernicus. I know you have a YouTube channel where you do storytelling. Make sure that if you're one of my mods, ladies, and you have something that you want to promote for yourselves, for example, Copernicus, go ahead and put up the link to your YouTube channel. That way our community can know and they can go ahead and go support you at your YouTube channel, right? Same thing with you, Yarn. I know that you do, I think you do Instagram, is it? I think it is. I'm not on any other social media but YouTube and like Rumble. All right, so I'm not in Instagram, Twitter. I don't I have a Twitter account, but I like never use it and I never post. But make sure that you go ahead and promote yourselves, ladies. I was just thinking about that the other day when I did a video showing Yarn Preppers creations here, and someone actually left a comment saying that they have bought some of these and that they are awesome, and they are. These are very good quality, right? So if you're looking for these little, I use this for like my coffee holder right here, or for my coffee mat. I put it right here on my desk, and I put my bottle or my coffee cup on top of it. All right, so go check that out. But anyways, just make sure that you promote yourselves. Use this platform so that you can benefit from it as well. Okay. You see, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that may be new here, you will see pretty soon, if you're new here, if you've been here for a while, you already know this, that I have a super talent. And my super talent is being able to take about a minute's worth of information and stretching it out for like 5 or 10 or 20 minutes. All right. So you'll get to know that in a hurry. I wanted to say thank you very much to a person who sent me this book. I don't really like to read. However, the person that sent me this book was very nice, and they highlighted the chapter that they wanted me to read. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not just this crazy kook saying it. You better be getting prepped, because cycles do exist and cycles do happen time and time again. There's just no stopping it. It's usually a different cause, but the results are usually the same when you look at history on a big time scale, not just a short time scale, but big time scales, big long cycles, and such, etc. So, anyways, thank you very much. You know who you are, the one that sent me this. Thank you for sending me this very, very interesting book. And I actually read that part. So let's see who else do we have here. A Gauls is here. How you doing? LSE. Bill Warman, how are you doing? Snow Angel is in the house. My prepper journey, Gina. Ann Palmer from the great state of Louisiana. How are you? Weight loss prepper, good for you, man. I wish I could join your club, weight loss prepper. I have great news since we're talking about weight loss. No, I haven't really lost that much more weight since my initial weight loss, but my blood glucose is really doing great, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pretty excited. The other day, and I don't even remember if I mentioned this on one of my previous videos, but I think it was last week now, almost a week ago. My daughter has been bugging me to make her rice pudding for the longest time. And I keep saying, that's poison. That's not good for you. Of course, now I have to be the one that says that's poison, right? After I've been told that for several years, AP, you shouldn't be eating this, you shouldn't be eating that. And now I'm like, hey, that's poison. You shouldn't be eating that. But anyways, I gave in and I went ahead and made her some rice pudding. And I have to say that the rice pudding that I make is pretty darn good, all right? I got it from my mother. My mother never actually taught me how to make it, but I remember watching her make it so many times that I pretty much taught myself. Anyways, I made some rice pudding and I really wanted to taste it. So this is what I did. I took my blood glucose reading, and when I took it, it was, I think it was like 89 or something like that. When I took it without having eaten anything for the day, because I usually still only eat once, sometimes twice a day. And it was like 89, which is really good, comparatively speaking, to the previous 9 months when I started my diabetic journey, right? Trying to wind it down and bring it in. So I went ahead and had one tablespoon, a heaping tablespoon of rice pudding, and I ate it, and it was delicious. All right, the first time in about 10 months or so that I've had anything that I purposely added sugar to. All right, so pretty much this is the first time that I've eaten something where I actually added sugar because it was part of the ingredient in making it. Other than that, 95 or more percent of all the food I've eaten in the last like 10 months has been pretty much fats or proteins, right? No carbohydrates, very, very little. So I went ahead and waited about half an hour. And then I took my blood glucose again after about half an hour, and it had gone up to about 102. So from 89 to about 102, I was pretty excited. I'm like, that's really good. But what I did is I took it again about another hour later after that, and it had gone down to 92. So that tells me that my body is kind of like finding its balance when it comes to the blood sugar level inside my body, and my body actually, taking care of any excess sugar that I may have in my bloodstream. It doesn't mean that I'm going to go back to the way it was before. After I had that one tablespoon of rice pudding, I didn't give myself free reign and said, okay, you're healed. You can eat whatever you want. No, I went back to doing the same thing I've been doing for the last 10 months or so. All right, ladies and gentlemen. But that gives me hope that maybe in another 3, 4, 5, 6 months or so, when I feel comfortable, I may be able to go from like a carnivore lifestyle where I eat almost no carbs at all, unless it exists like in eggs or cheese and stuff like that, which is very minimal, to maybe being able to transfer over to like a ketovore lifestyle where I can maybe have a salad once a day, right? And maybe a treat once in a long while, just like I did that tablespoon of rice pudding, right? It gives me hope that I can do that in the long run and still maintain a healthy A1C reading for my blood sugar. And by the way, next week I will be going to get my next A1C reading. So next Monday I have to fast in order to go get my blood drawn. And then the week after that, I'll be having a doctor's appointment to see what my A1C is. I am very hopeful, and I really, really hope, ladies and gentlemen, that I really want it to be under 5.6, because if it's under 5.6, it puts me under the pre-diabetic level. So for those of you that haven't been here that long, back in January, I was diagnosed with diabetes, and it was pretty bad. At that time, my A1C was like 9.2 or 9.3. And after a few A1Cs, I've managed to bring it down to my last reading, I believe, was 6.3, which is under the diabetic level, but it's still above the pre-diabetic level. So I'm still considered pre-diabetic according to my last A1C reading. So I'm just hoping that this time around it's below 5.6, which brings you back to the normal range. Anyways, I did it again. I took a 1 minute story and turned it into 5. Where's Evita and JR? I don't see them here. But let's go ahead and say hello to Gracious 48. How are you doing? Patman Ski, how are you doing? 20 on pump 5. I always get caught. You always get me with that. 20 on pump 5. How you doing? Good to see you. You did. Every time I try to pronounce your name, you always get me with that 20 on pump 5, which is not very much nowadays, is it? Garden Girl, how you doing? A9, how are you doing? Good to see you. Brad Miller, how are you doing? Gene Strader, how are you? Jay Biggs, living that country dream, how are you doing? Good to see you. Let's see, Rudy, please talk about that Tyson plant. Well, I pretty much did all the talking about that Tyson plant that I could do when I did that video. I mean, it seems that we have. You'll remember that we have like I think it was 4 Tyson plants that were closing down in the U.S. for whatever reason, and now we have one plant that is going to be built in the U.S. that is co-owned by Tyson, and I forget the name of the other company that owns it with Tyson, where they are going to be growing crickets, ladies and gentlemen. And no, not crickets so that you can feed to your chickens, but crickets that can be used as protein meal in order for us serfs to eat while our overlords are eating ribeye steak. That's the purpose for that plant. It's supposed to be in place by the year 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the power, We have the power. Don't buy any of that stuff, no matter what. This is why I often speak about why we need to get as best prepared as we can. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to put aside this thing that, I'm not going to say all preppers, but I've heard a lot of people talk this way, all right? And I'm sure you have too. I've heard a lot of preparedness minded people talk this way. And I believe this is what we have to put aside is that I'm not going to go ahead and feed my neighbor. You know, I seen him go to Disney World all these years while I've been prepping, while I've been sacrificing. There's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. If I may say, it's all true. Yes. If you see your neighbor just going because they're so ignorant, because they don't believe that there's anything wrong, they don't believe that anything's going to happen, that they live with rose-colored glasses on, and everything that they see is what they're told by the mainstream media. But I still believe that we need to prepare not only for ourselves, but for our families and our neighbors as well, and our community, if you can. If you cannot, you have to take care of your house first. Because if you don't take care of your house because you're taking to someone else's house, then your house is going to fall. Then what good are you going to be to anyone? Right? You have to take care of your house first. But the best that we can resist, all right, the more that we can say no to these people. And the best way to resist is to be prepared. It allows you to use your no muscle, like Bear from Bear Independence says. He says you have to learn to use your no muscle. Well, imagine if in the last 3 years, imagine if more than half, or let's say half of the United States was prepared. And when I say prepared, I mean they had an emergency fund where they could live for 6 months if they had to because they lost their job, if they had enough food put away in the pantry for 6 months to a year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They were prepared. Let's say half the country was prepared, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think that they would have pushed these mandates the way that they did? I would say no, because most people that went along to get along, they had no choice. They needed that paycheck. They needed to put food on the table. They needed to pay that mortgage, or else they're going to find themselves on the streets. So a lot of people, in my opinion, were coerced into doing something that they would not have done if they'd had the choice, because they had those things that they needed to get by for the next several months. The American people, if they get prepared, they can go on strike. All right. They wouldn't even have to go out to the street and protest. They could just go on strike against the government and say, hey, you want to go ahead and fire me because I don't want to put this stuff into my body, and you say that I have to, even though it's my body, my choice, right? Then that's fine. Go ahead and fire me. Let's see how many people don't have to show up to work before you give in, because they do need their tax money, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're not working, they're not collecting those taxes. But if we put ourselves in a place or in a position where we are prepared enough to say no for a certain amount of time, we can do the same thing that the big three are doing right now to Chevy, Chrysler, and Ford, right? They're going on strike saying no. We can do the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. but we have to be prepared and we have to stand together. And I know that I'm just dreaming right now, right? Maybe this is a dream, but it is still possible that we do this as a nation. And I believe that one day we will. I believe that we will one day as a nation come together. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, comes a lot of suffering. And that's why I still say you need to prepare, because there will be a lot of suffering between now and the good times. Not sure if you saw the video that I put up this morning, but I was talking about just that we are going to see good times once again. Why? Well, it's a cycle, ladies and gentlemen. We will go into the springtime of the human experience once again, which are good times. But between now and then, we've got to finish out this winter. And during winter, during the winter cycle of the human experience, there's crises. And what's happening all over? Crises, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's happening everywhere. And it seems like it's never ending. And it will be unending crises until after we switch over to that new paradigm. Amazing Grandma, how you doing? Good to see you. Douglas Kuhn, how are you doing? Good to see you. Mad Max. Good to see you, Mad Max. Happy to see you here. Colorado Pack Rat Prepper, how are you doing? Good to see you. You got your nutrient survival bucket on Monday. Awesome. Good for you. I didn't find an AP coin. Well, you know what? I'll talk to Becky about that. I think you were supposed to get one in that bucket. In all seriousness, I'll go ahead and talk to Becky about that. Thank you for letting me know, by the way. If you want to send me an email to remind me on that, go ahead. And if they don't send it to you from over there, I'll send it to you from here, Colorado. Let me see. Covenant, how are you doing? Good to see you. Miss Worm says, thank you. I only need 81 subs to get monetized. Miss Worm, I don't know if you saw my email that I sent you here a while back, but I do believe, double check me on this, I believe that YouTube changed its monetization policy to where you only need 800 subscribers now. So double check on that to make sure that that's right. I think it is what I heard. However, if in the case that you're talking about that you have 919 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen, help out one of our awesome moderators. Go check out Miss Worm's channel. Copernicus, please leave up, or here it is. Go check out Miss Worm's channel and subscribe so she can get monetized. All right, because hey, we all can use a little bit of help, ladies and gentlemen, and you will get a lot of entertainment out of her channel as well. Because Copernicus, she's a very good storyteller, and that's what the channel is about. It's a great channel to listen to when you're going to bed, actually, in my opinion. There she is. Evita is in the house. How you doing, JR? Evita, how are you? Evita says that she received her Alaska Prepper coin. Good for you. That's awesome. We did have one return. Where is it? Ladies and gentlemen, when you send me an address, I'm going to send that coin to that same address that you send me. All right. I had one return, and I actually double checked. Well, yeah, the address is not on here. I actually went on the email and double checked the address that you sent me, and it was exactly on this envelope as the one that you sent me. So please send me the correct address when you win something. I'm going to go ahead and email this person back so that I can hopefully resend it. But that's just time, ladies and gentlemen, that it takes for me to do that. So anyways, 1 out of like 14 or something like that, that's not too bad. That's pretty good averages. Let's see. Mary Max, I have tried the jalapeno spam, and I kind of like it. Not my favorite, and I still have to do the review on that maple flavored spam, and I'm still going to be doing that. Okay. Tom Larson, how you doing from Michigan? Miss Red, how are you? Let's see. New Florida Prepper 1, how you doing? Good to see you. Okay. All right, so listen, I know, let me see. Yeah, I did it again. I want to go ahead and start talking about some of the things that I have planned for this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Really a lot of stuff to talk about. So if you're going to have any questions, go ahead and save the questions till after, and then I'll be more than happy to spend a few minutes with a little Q&A with all of you all. But I mean, it's really good to see every one of you. There's Michael. How you doing, Michael? Good to see you. Michelle, how are you? Kathleen Rolston is here. All right. Okay, awesome. Everyone's going over and subscribing to Miss Worm's channel. That's great. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That is awesome. Hey, Chelsea Hutchison, how are you doing? Good to see you. And how's the baby doing? All right. Well, it's not a baby anymore. It's a toddler now, right? So how's the baby doing? Let us know. Ultra Mega Preppers here. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you about today about how it's impossible for the working person, for the person that earns a wage or a salary to get ahead. It's impossible for you to get ahead if you earn a wage or a salary, unless, ladies and gentlemen, you are all debt free. If you are debt free, then you can put your whatever money you make, you can put it to work for you. But if you are a wage earner, a worker that goes out there and works 9 to 5, you're not going to get ahead. And you cannot let them lie to you. You have to figure out a way to get ahead without listening to the lies. And I wanted to share a little bit of information with you that the Bureau for Labor Statistics, I think, Labor Services, whatever it is, the BLS, that they put out. As you know, we just got a new CPI for the month of September, and I think it was like 3 point something percent, 3.4, 3.7, something like that. But when they tell you these numbers make absolutely no sense because they leave so many things out of them, like food. They leave out of those numbers. They leave energy out of those numbers. And I wanted to show you a couple of numbers that you can go ahead and compare to the numbers that they're telling you of the mainstream media financial channels and or from the Federal Reserve or the government pundits themselves. And on top of that, I have a whole bunch of other news topics to cover with you all. And again, if for some reason you have to leave the live stream early, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hopefully put some chapters on the live stream so you can come back and skip from chapter to chapter. And I'm also going to go and take it a step further and go ahead and take out a few small videos out of this live stream for people that just want to watch that one subject matter, and that's it. All right, so it takes a little bit of time to do that. However, the last time I did it, it was very successful. A lot of people really found interest in doing it that way. So I'll go ahead and do it again if it gets the message out more. But I wanted to go ahead and share this with you real quick. This is a little bit of math that I did earlier today. Let me go ahead and put a pause on that. But these numbers right here, ladies and gentlemen, are from the BLS, and you can go and find it, just bls.gov. All right, and you'll be able to find these numbers updated, and these are the most updated numbers that I've found. And I just want to show you what numbers they're giving us. This is the numbers that we're getting from the government. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and they're still not good. Right? They're still not good as far as inflation goes. You will never be able to keep up with inflation as long as you're earning a wage. Right? As long as you have debt and you're earning a wage, ladies and gentlemen, inflation will never let you get out from under it. Right? And so take a look at this right here. If you see that top number there, $94,000 is what they're saying that the average income per family is in the United States in 2022. So average income before taxes, ladies and gentlemen, is $94,003 in 2022. Well, I went ahead and I took a look at the average income by their word from 2020, and it came out to 84,000 for about a difference of $9,651 or 11.4%. So what they're saying is that between 2020 and 2022, the average American family got a raise of $9,651, 11.4%. But the problem with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you take a look at the second line there that says food, right? The average family in 2020 spent $7,310 a year on food. In 2022, $9,343, which is a plus of 27.8%. So while they're telling you that you got an 11% raise over that time period, at the same time, they're telling you, hey, everything's okay. You got an 11.4% raise, but your food, which is one of those things that we leave out of the inflation that we report to you, and the inflation that we use to give you your Social Security COLA increase, your food went up 27.8%. Your housing went up 13.5%. Your transportation went up 25.1%. Gasoline, ladies and gentlemen, in that time frame went up 99%. But this is not reflected in the inflation numbers that they give you. This is not reflected in the inflation numbers that they use in order to calculate your COLA increase when you get your Social Security COLA increase on the 1st of January every year. I think this year is going to be like 3.2%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, is that 3.2% going to cover the 27% increase in food that you're paying? Is it going to cover the 13.5% increase in housing or 25% increase in transportation and healthcare, the 13% increase in that? That is why, ladies and gentlemen, we will never escape this. All right. Inflation will never allow you to escape. Inflation is a system by which the government can take from you, ladies and gentlemen, your labor, your time, and your labor. It is a way that they can go ahead and take your labor from you and give it to someone else by taking your money that you earn either via taxes or inflating the money supply, making the dollars that you already earned worth a lot less. It's just a way of your freedom to be extorted from you without you having a choice, ladies and gentlemen. So I want you to take a look at these numbers, and I want you to remember these numbers. Remember that every time, let me take this off for a second. Remember that every time that you hear a government pundit say stimulus, okay, quantitative easing, we're going to use our tools in our toolbox. Remember that every time they say these things, ladies and gentlemen, they're saying that they're going to steal from you your wealth, and you have to protect yourselves. And if you don't, if you are buried under debt, you need to do everything that you can possibly do. Get a side hustle, whatever it is. And I know I hear it all the time. I hear it all the time, and I talked about it. I believe it was in today's video. I talked about it. I hear people tell me all the time, oh, it's easy for you. I have a broken leg. Oh, it's easy for you. I have a lazy eye. You know, I'm 107 years old. How am I going to get a side hustle? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know that you can do it because I've seen other people do it. I've heard other people tell me their stories on how they do it. We have people right here, right now, that have a side hustle, and they do it so that they can be better prepared, so that they can be out of debt. Because as long as you're in debt, as long as you have to be beholden to that 3.2%, you know, some people are actually praying that they get that 3.2% increase. But what they don't know is that even with that increase, ladies and gentlemen, they're still going to be below water. They're still going to be barely able to breathe, if at all. So we have to get out of this system as much as we can. And we'll have to do the sacrifices that we have to do now in order so that tomorrow we can live a life that's worth living. I've told my children this so many times, and I've told them that early on in life, you have to do the things that you have to do in order so that later on in life, you can do the things that you want to do, where you don't have to worry about what you have to do anymore because you've done it. And we are in a time in our history where we have to do the things that we have to do in order so that later on we can flourish and we can strive instead of just merely surviving and making it to a new paradigm where you're just barely surviving. Do you want to be someone that can actually lead, someone that can help others, or do you want to be one of those others that has to ask for help? That's the question. And that's what preparedness is for. Believe it or not, people that are prepared now, when we go over to that new paradigm, and it's not going to be tomorrow or the day after, I believe that something very big will happen between now and the time that we enter into a new paradigm. And what's a new paradigm, AP? You keep saying a new paradigm. I'll give you a good example. Those people that were positioned well before we were taken off the gold standard, they did a lot better than those that were not. All right, ladies and gentlemen, those people in 1933, when FDR stole the people's gold, those people that kept their gold, ladies and gentlemen, they were able to eat, whereas a lot of other people starved. Well, AP, how were people able to eat back in 1933 when FDR stole the people's gold? Because, ladies and gentlemen, back in 33, the Great Depression was a deflationary depression, meaning that there wasn't enough money around. So even though FDR threatened people with jail time and a fine if they didn't turn in their gold, those people that kept it, guess what they used that gold for? They used it to buy the things that they needed to eat, to get, i.e. food, eat, right, in the black market. Whenever the government gets in the way and makes it impossible for people to interact in an economy, a black market always appears. That's why when people ask me, aren't you afraid that there will be a confiscation of gold or silver? I'm not afraid, ladies and gentlemen, because if the government makes it impossible for people to trade in A, B, or C, a black market will appear. all right, where you can trade that A, B, or C for whatever it is that you need. So, no, I'm not afraid that they would do that. Do I think that they would do that? I doubt it, because today, such a small percentage of the population owns gold and silver. I bet you that if you went and asked 10 of your friends, unless you're in like in a very tight knit community of like minded people, but if you went and asked 10 of your friends, or if you went out in the street and you asked 10 people, hey, have you ever held a piece of gold or silver? I bet you would probably get at least 6 or 7, 70 to 80%, I bet you, of people that would say, no, I've never held a piece of gold or silver. Like a piece of gold or silver, like this. All right. Not like a chain or something like that, but a piece of gold or silver that was purposefully made into something that looks like money. Sorry about the lighting. All right. So this is the time for you to protect yourselves in that way. And I do get tired of hearing people say that I can't do it. I gave an example on today's video where I said, look, I've been talking about this for how long now? 6, 7 years now, about how you can protect yourself with gold and silver. A few videos back, I gave a great example on if you would have started getting a little bit of gold and silver back when I started talking about it around 2017, 2018, that gold and silver that you would have accrued over the last 5 years or so, that it would actually retain its purchasing power. Literally, it would have retained its purchasing power. And I even remember the numbers. Back in 2018, 1 ounce of gold was going for $1,283. Right, January 1st, 2018. Today, an ounce of gold is going for, what is it, $1,970 roughly. That's about 54% increase in price over the last 5 years. Do you think that maybe that would have kept up with inflation? I think so, ladies and gentlemen. Gold and silver does what it's supposed to do, and it hedges against inflation, and it allows you to retain your purchasing power. That's all it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to give you a return. It's not supposed to dance. It's not supposed to sing. It's supposed to sit there. You take it, you let it sit somewhere. You let it sit there until you need it. And then when you need it, it'll buy you what you need it to buy you. That's what it's for. That's why I'm such an advocate of people protecting their wealth with gold and silver. I am not a financial advisor. I have to say that because I'm on the internet. But that was the first thing that I wanted to cover with you. Don't fool yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Don't fool yourselves into thinking that everything is going to be all right when it comes to our monetary system. This is one thing that I can guarantee you. I guarantee you this 100%. I know this for a fact. A year from now, today's dollar will be nothing like it is today. Right? Take that to the bank. 1 year from now, today's dollar will be nothing like it is today. Just like today's dollar is nothing like it was a year or 2 years ago. It's always changing, and it's always changing at your expense, at the expense of the working person. So protect yourselves in any way that you can. What's the best way for someone to protect themselves that just can't get a dime? Some people maybe just can't afford to go and buy a silver dime every payday. Maybe you can't. Then buy a can of food. Every time you get paid, get an extra can of food. Every time you go shopping, get an extra can of food, or whatever it is that you eat. Build that pantry up, because food is also a hedge against inflation. If you go buy food today, it will be a hedge against inflation for a year to 2 to 3 years from now. And that is proof in with it itself. Because if you take a look at what food was, a can of corn, what it was 3 years ago, it's probably about half of what it was 3 years ago. Or it's about twice as much of what it was 3 years ago. Same thing with just about anything else. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So the point of the matter is this, is that no one's going to come and take care of you. When you're hungry, when your kids are hungry, when you can't afford to buy something, when you can't afford to feed your children, no one is going to come to take care of you. All right. And if someone comes to take care of you, how long are they going to be able to take care of you for? So it's your opportunity now to get prepared now, right? We are going to go into some serious times in the next several years, and probably sooner than later. I have a couple of other things that I want to talk to you about that get even more serious than just about inflation. And one of those things is let me go ahead and add this to this. And let's see. 3,700 Detroit casino workers walk off the job and strike. Why? Why are they striking, ladies and gentlemen? Because they have working conditions that are dangerous, because they're being tormented by their bosses. because they're not getting enough time off. No, because they're not getting enough money. Well, why aren't they getting enough money? A year, 2, 3 years ago, they were getting plenty of money. Why aren't they getting enough money now? Did they get a cut in pay? Well, not nominally. They're probably making more dollars than they were 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But what are those dollars buying them? It's a point that whatever it is that you make this year will not be enough next year. Why? Because the government is like a drunken sailor printing money out of thin air at your expense. And the very unfortunate thing is that while the government is printing all of this money, ladies and gentlemen, although I don't agree with printing money at all, I agree 0% with the government printing money at all. If they're going to print it anyways, why don't you keep it here and fill some potholes in the streets instead of sending it overseas anywhere, right? I don't care where it is that they're sending money. I don't care. They shouldn't be sending it anywhere. First of all, they shouldn't be printing money out of thin air because that's direct theft of your labor, number one. Second of all, if they are going to print it, all right, and we don't have a choice, but they're going to print it anyways, then why are they sending it outside of our borders, ladies and gentlemen? Why are they spending it on others that are not us? All of these things that's going on right now in the world, and I have to be careful because I'm on YouTube, right? But all of these things that are going on right now in the world, ladies and gentlemen, how many of these outside factors really affect us here in the United States of America? How many really affect those people, those old folks that are being kicked out of their homes because they can't afford the mortgage anymore? How many of these things happening around the world, geopolitically speaking, affect the old veterans that were kicked out of their old folks nursing homes because the city of New York bought the building so that they can turn it into a refugee building? How many of these geopolitical things affect those homeless vets that are homeless now because they kicked them out on the street? How many of those geopolitically things that are happening now that our government is so supportive of, all right? How many of those things are affecting how we have a porous border and how we have criminals coming through those porous borders down in the South mainly, and it's now overtaking some cities? How are those things affecting us? But no, the government is printing money so that it can take it and send it outside of our borders, and we get stuck with the bill. Not only do we get stuck with the bill here in the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen, but we get stuck with the blowback from everything else that's going on. A porous border, what's the blowback? Well, the blowback is that our systems are being overloaded, number one. Number two is that we're getting drugs coming in from the southern border like crazy. We have over 100,000 people, Americans, every year. I think in 2022, it was 107,000 dying from overdoses. Where are those drugs coming from? Well, guess where? The southern border, right? So that's number two. Number three, we have people coming in through the southern borders that are not vetted at the least. They're not vetted at all because they're getaways. Do you think that maybe some of those people come from countries that don't like the United States of America very much? And do you think that maybe some of those military age males that are coming through the southern border maybe are military males that are just waiting for orders on their phones so that they can do something crazy, be it to our grid, be it to our water, be it to our food, be it to our people, ladies and gentlemen? So what the hell business do we have involving ourselves, involving our children who are in the military with any foreign entanglements when we here have a war going on in our own country, where our own people are on the streets, where our own veterans are homeless, where our own people are dying in numbers that are unprecedented when compared to previous wars that we fought? We're losing over 100,000 people a year to overdoses. We lost 58,000 in the entirety of the Vietnam War, ladies and gentlemen. We are losing 2 Vietnam Wars worth of Americans every year from the drugs that are coming from the southern border. But now all of a sudden we have to pick a side. What side are you picking? What side are you picking because of this thing that's happening over in Israel? What's your side? Even my daughter was getting texts from other kids from school saying, do you hear what's going on here? What's going on there? You know, when my daughter told me this, you know what I told her? I says, have you heard what's going on in the southern border? And she said, no. I'm like, of course you haven't heard that, but you're going to hear what's going on in another country. because our country doesn't come first anymore. We're no longer first, ladies and gentlemen. Every single American in this country, and I know I'm going on a rant, excuse me. And if I see that a few of you have left the super chat, I'll make sure that I go over all of those. Right, just give me a minute. I know I'm going on a bit of a rant, but ladies and gentlemen, every single American in this country ought to be pissed off that we are at almost $34 trillion worth of debt, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know, I'm going to go over the national debt clock with you here in a little bit, just to show you how grave we are, how grave the situation is. This $34 trillion of debt that we have, that is nothing. That is the icing on the cake, ladies and gentlemen. That is nothing compared to the real debt that we are in. And that debt that we are in is a debt that our children and their children will have to pay as long as we are still in this monetary system that we are in now. So, ladies and gentlemen, every single American ought to be pissed off. But the powers that be, ladies and gentlemen, have done such a great job. Don't you agree? Don't you think that they've done such a great job at keeping us divided? All right, now it's either you're for Israel or you're for Palestine. You're either for Ukraine or you're for Russia. You're either for being able to say that you're a boy or a girl, or you're either for nature doing its job and doing that. You're either for blacks or you're for whites. You're either for Hispanics or you're for Chinese. What the hell else are they going to use to divide us? When are the American people going to wake up? When are we going to wake up that we are not each other's enemies? That we are just like each other, and that we ought to come together and realize that the real threat to freedom, the real threat to prosperity, are those that want to keep us divided, are those that want to keep us away from the truth, from seeing what it is that they're doing. I've mentioned before that in our government, I believe that out of the 537, right, 535 House and Senate, and then the two up on the White House. Out of those 537, ladies and gentlemen, what percentage do you really think love America, really love America? Another video that I did a couple of days ago where I went on a rant. Why is it that why is it that our congressmen, that our representatives, that our senators and congressmen, why is it that they allow to have people serve the American people who hate America? Shouldn't there be a test or something that before you can get elected or even run for office, that you should prove that, yes, I love this country. Maybe I would change a policy here or a policy there, but I love this country. I would die for this country, right? But there are people that are up there, literally standing up there saying, yes, America sucks. I hate America. And what the hell are you doing here if you hate America? So I say, ladies and gentlemen, that Americans need to come together. Patriotic Americans it is. There you go. I'm on a list now. I'm on a list now because I said I'm patriotic. This is my country. This is the country I die for. But I'll tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen. I'll end it at this before we go to our next segment. This is the country I die for. But I would never, ever encourage anyone or tell anyone that they should go to war outside of our borders. If you ever go to war, now this is me speaking, if you ever go to war, make sure that it's a war, because the wolf is at your door. Because you know what? The wolf is at our door, ladies and gentlemen. The wolf is at our door. They want to make us think that the war is outside of our borders when the war is already here. Our war, this generation's war in the United States of America, and I would say in a lot of other countries, our war is here, and it's here now. And why am I saying prepare? Because preparedness, resources is what wins wars. You're not going to win a war unless you are prepared. Unless you're prepared to help your neighbor, unless you're prepared to help those that can actually do the 70-mile rucks, right? And be Minutemen, I guess you can call them. Unless you're prepared to help them, then we'll lose the war here. But don't think that we're not already in a war here within our borders. And why in the world would any father or mother want to send their children outside of our borders to fight when there's already a fight going on here? And let me go ahead and take a break because, yes, how you doing, Tommy? Yes, prepare today and be prepared for tomorrow. Prepare during good times. That way you can be prepared during the bad times, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say thank you very much to A Beautiful Day. How are you doing, A Beautiful Day? Did you get that 2400 yet? All right, good for you. The 2400 was delivered this week from your giveaway. Thank you again. I was supposed to get a coin as well. I can't remember. I was too excited. I don't remember if the winners of like the 2400 and the silver coin, all that stuff, were supposed to get a coin as well. But you know what? Go ahead and send me your address again in an email, all right? And then I'll go ahead and send you a coin. So if you're one of the winners from the giveaways, I think it was 2 Fridays ago, go ahead and send me your address again, and then I'll send you guys a coin because I had a few extra coins, so I'll go ahead and send them to you anyways. All right. But that's awesome. Good for you. Let's see. John, how you doing, John, my brother? Oh man, good to see you. I was going to ask you about your back, but I see you're talking about it. My MRI result was a bulging disc in my neck. Oh, it's in your neck. Okay. Well, I hope that they take care of that, brother. Let us know how you're doing, man. I was thinking about you there, wondering about your back. AZ Watchwoman, how you doing? Thank you, AZ. Thank you very much. Let's see, what's this? Next, Zit. How are you doing? Thank you, brother. Blessings to you as well. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and take a little break real quick, all right? Because I know that ladies and gentlemen, I feel like I was in a trance. I don't even know what I said in the last 15 minutes. I really don't. I think I need help. Dale Cow, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Dana, Let's Prep, good to see you. Good Eats Homestead, how are you? Let's see. Dizzy 2020, how you doing? Mario is in the house. Let's see. Yeah, Mario, I agree. Mario says 58% of Americans own stocks. That is a huge mistake. Never hold. You get any. Let me see. Right. I think what you're getting at is that if you own stocks, there's a lot of layers between your stocks that you own or the shares of the stocks that you own and you actually getting that money and then turning that money into something that has value. There's a lot of layers. The only layer that I have between this and getting something that's of value, i.e., food, gasoline, whatever, is me and the person that I barter it with, or the coin shop where I can turn it in for some fiat currency and then going to spend it. That's the only layer between this and what I need. All right. If you have stocks, if you have shares and stuff, you have a lot of layers. You have to first sell it. Once you sell it, you have to take that digital money and transfer it to your bank. Once you transfer it to your bank, you have to be able to take that money and change it into something that has value and then get receipt of it. Right. So there's a lot more layers, a lot more bureaucracy for you to climb through in order to get that value out of a stock. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that if you are a good trader, if you know what you're doing, you can make some money in the stock market. I own a few stocks, right? But I don't publicize it very much because in the grand scheme of things, I think that the stock market is somewhat immoral to own. But that's just me. You have to do what you want to do, all right? But let me tell you why. The reason why is because the stock market is kind of like a zero-sum game, which means that if somebody's winning, that means that somebody's losing or someone is lost. And the stock market is rigged. The stock market is like a casino. It will never lose. You know, the banksters that run the stock market, they never lose. It's the people that trade within it. You know, you have banksters that are trading with computers that have algorithms that trade so fast that the average person doesn't really have a chance. Now, there are some that are very good traders and they know what they're doing. Like, go check out Jay Bravo. I love Jay Bravo. I've been subscribed to him for a long time. Very smart. I even paid and took one of his courses, and is worth every single penny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, worth every single penny. But if you know what you're doing, you can make some money off of it and then take some of that money and turn it into gold or silver or something that has real value. But that's why I don't really promote the stock market very much. I don't talk about my trades or anything like that because it's not something I wouldn't even tell my kids to trade in the stock market. It's just too risky. If you have a few extra bucks that you want to gamble, that's exactly what it is, in my opinion, is gambling. Let's see. A Sparky's Run. Thank you, Sparky's Run, for joining the Ladies and Gentlemen's Club. And we have Karen Vasseur. Thank you very much for becoming a new member of the Ladies and Gentlemen's Club. Look at that. Amazing Grandma says, I know, right? Go, Rudy Rat. Okay, all right, let's see. Well, at least my rants are good for something, okay? Now, let's see. Oh, the lighting is messed up. Let me see. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring it all the way to the bottom, okay? Do me a favor. Let me know if this is better. Okay, this is 1 and this is 2. Which one is better, 1 or 2? Can you let me know which one is better? This is 2 right here, and this is 1. Which one is better, 1, which is this one, or 2, which is this one? Okay, so we got 2. We have a 2 and a 1. Okay, so 2 is better. This one right now. Okay, thank you for that. I can never figure out lighting, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, look at this. Is this Alan? Where you at, brother? Alan, how you doing, man? It's so good to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason I'm excited to see Alan is because he's an OG. He's been here forever, but I haven't seen him in a while. It's good to see you, brother. How's the wife doing and how's the family? Let me know. That's awesome. Okay, so it looks like it's overwhelmingly 2. Okay. Let's see. Oren says, just received my first solar generator, which is an EcoFlow, not OPS, because I can build off the 2,000 watt hour unit as to where I can't with the same size OPS. No, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not an OPS purist. I love the OPS. I really do, because I think that they have a long way to go. And plus, I really love that they help the community. Right? They have they have OPS Helps, which has helped several people in our community. I really like that. And I like that their solar generators, they get the job done at a very cheap price. I've never said that they're the very best in the industry, but for what they charge, for the money that they charge for the solar generators, it is, in my opinion, the best bang for your buck. All right. And they do what they say they're going to do. I'm actually in the middle of an experiment that I'm doing with all of my OPS solar generators, all the way up to the Mega 3. And doing this experiment, I'll put it out in a short video here, not too long, maybe sometime next week. Doing this experiment, I've actually come across some information that is incredible. 2 of the OPS products so far that I've done this experiment with, their efficiency rating is incredible. It's like over 90%. Now, for most solar generators, an efficiency rating, meaning like how many watt hours of energy are you getting out of it as opposed to what it's rated. So, like for example, let's say the Opus 2400, this one right here, right? It's rated for 2232 watt hours. Okay, so the efficiency rating would be how many watt hours can you actually get out of it when you're powering something. The closer to 2232, the better. And some of these, I think 3 of them so far have given me efficiency ratings of above 95%, which is incredible, really great. But no, you have to use Oren. You have to use the machine that best suits you for what you need it for. All right, so yeah, an EcoFlow is a very good brand of solar generator. The one thing that I didn't like about EcoFlow when I first started reviewing them is that a lot of their earlier products only had a lithium ion battery instead of a lithium iron phosphate battery, which is obviously superior. But I think that they corrected that in their newer models, is where they're using a LiPo 4 battery now. But yeah, I still stand by the OPS. I think it's a great machine and they have an awesome price. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, they're still having a really good sale. So if you're still in the market for an OPS, go check them out and use my link. My link, unfortunately, they've dropped their prices down so low that they can only afford to give me a 5% off for the link. But it is what it is. It's still a great product, I think, at a very good price. Oh, just a second. Okay, I thought that I disappeared there for a minute. Okay, so the 2s have it. All right, the 2s have it. We're staying. Sorry to the 1s. Hey, James, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. I have silver rounds and bars in the past, but just bought 2 rolls of junk diamonds. I think junk silver is great, and the premiums have come down, James. Yeah, the premiums have come down, so not too bad. I think right now for face, I can get some for like $19 and change face, which is a lot better than the 23, 24 that they were charging just a couple months ago. All right, so that's not bad. It's still kind of a high premium because you're paying roughly for about 3/4 of an ounce of silver. You're paying the same thing that you can probably get a full ounce of silver if you bought a silver round. But face, I mean, what you call it, junk silver, it does have its place in a prepper stockpile. I think having junk silver is just as important as having rounds or bars or coins. I think having a little bit of each is a good idea. You should be diversified in everything, even in silver and gold. If you have gold, you should be diversified, meaning that you shouldn't only have one kind. You should have different types. Oh, canning. The wife is still. Hey, that is awesome, man. Good. I'm glad you guys are putting that canner to use. That's awesome. Hey, that is a great thing to do, ladies and gentlemen. Great thing to do. For those of you that don't know, I have been taking Saturdays off. So if you ever see a video that I put up like on Saturday, it's probably a video that I produced. I'll say produced for a lack of a better word, but it's definitely not produced. That I produced like on Friday and put up for Saturday. But I don't think that I'll have a video going up tomorrow because once I'm done here with the live stream, I'm going to be done pretty much for the week. But we will be back on Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Cheryl asked, "Do you know how to exchange junk and jewelry?" You can go and do it at a coin shop. Usually, a coin shop will buy your silver or your jewelry. I mean, usually a coin shop will buy your jewelry, so you can take your jewelry, you can go sell it, and depending on what carat it is, if it's 10% or 14, I mean 10 carat or 14 carat, 18, 22, etc. It will depend on how much you get for that, and then you can take whatever that is and exchange it for whatever they have in silver, gold, whatever it is that you want to do with it. So you can do that. Okay, let's see. Here, this is a good question. What is junk silver? So, junk silver is just another name for constitutional silver. And what constitutional silver is in the United States of America, prior to 1965, with the exception of Kennedy half dollars through 1969, but we won't talk about those. We'll put those to the side. So, prior to 1965, i.e., 1964 and prior, your dimes, your quarters, your half dollars, and your dollar coins, they were all 90% silver. So they all had 90% silver in them. Those are called constitutional silver coins. All right. And they're also called junk silver. All right. It's just the names that stackers have given to it over the years. And those coins, even though they were minted back in 1964 and prior, the silver that's inside of them is still holds monetary value. So that's those silver coins are nice to barter with because people recognize them. They're easily recognizable that they're official United States silver coins, and you can tell that they're silver because they don't have a clad in the middle. They don't have copper or anything like that in the middle. So they're easy to barter with. Plus, they're very easily divisible, and it's very easy to know what 1 ounce is if you want to know what an ounce is. So, for example, if you had 4 quarters that were 1964 before and 4 dimes, that equals to $1.40 face value, which is the equivalent to 1 full ounce or 1 full troy ounce of pure silver. Right. So it's very easily divisible, easy to barter. You can go ahead and exchange it for a full ounce if you want, if you have $1.40 face value. That's what junk silver is. I hope that I didn't confuse you more than I help you understand. Margarita Castaneda, how are you doing? It's good to see you today. Happy Friday to you. Let me see whether let's see. Briar Pat. Yes, Briar. About six. So it's $1.40, but yeah, six is just a tiny bit more than yeah, six is just a tiny bit more than 1 troy ounce, but specifically $1.40, is 1 troy ounce. But yeah, you can say six. Mario, I don't have any jokes right now. Okay, maybe next live stream I'll do a joke uh, for uh, for Tom McDonald. All right, McDonald. I miss that guy. That guy's a real good guy. Not Tom McDonald, not the singer. Oh, what the Norm McDonald, not Tom McDonald. F. Pierre, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about. There is something else I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what it is. Okay, it's not that. Let's see if it's this right here. Oh, okay. This goes along with what I was talking about before. That how many people in the United States are hurting right now, but we keep printing all of this money to send overseas. So this pretty much goes with what I was talking already. But I have some more stuff here to go over. Yes, the U.S. issues worldwide caution for all Americans overseas amid growing Gaza-related unrest. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. I know that I may sound like a tin hat guy here when I say this, but do you all think that everything that's happening nowadays is happening by coincidence? Do you really think that during a time in our nation and in the world where we are so debt saturated, where it has to be that we continue to create money out of thin air? Do you understand what it is? Do you understand what it is when money is created out of thin air? What we are doing is we are okay. When you create money out of thin air, i.e., dollars, I know they're not money, it's fiat currency because I always get that comment. When you create money out of thin air, meaning money that was never worked into existence, money for which there is no value added to the system. When you create it out of thin air, what you're doing is you're stealing resources from the future. You're taking that money that was never worked into existence and you're buying something with it, all right, that took resources to create. So what you're doing is you're mortgaging, all right, your labor, and in the government's in the government's way is they're mortgaging our labor, right? The government prints money out of thin air. They therefore mortgage our labor from the future in order to bring those resources that they wouldn't have been able to get because that money was never worked into existence. I hope you understand what that means. It means that we are being enslaved for our labor for the future, right? That money, that 33 and a half trillion dollars that is the national debt, what that represents is your labor, ladies and gentlemen, your children's labor, so on and so on in the future, so that you can just not pay back the debt, just pay back what we need to service the debt, i.e., the interest on that debt. That's what that means. Every time that you see that ticker tick up on our national debt, that means that our children will be enslaved even more so than what they are already. Right? As far as this system is still in place, two things are guaranteed. One is that those that run the world now, i.e., these government pundits that run the world now, they will continue to run the world with impunity. They will continue to print, they will continue to send people's children to war to die with no recourse, ladies and gentlemen, because those that can control the money will control the world. They will control it. Why? Because money represents your freedom, it represents your wealth, it represents your time and your labor. And if they can control money, they're going to control you. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So as long as they are allowed to print, as long as this system stays the way it is, we are going to continue to be slaves upon this system. And you may not want to believe it, you may not want to admit it, but that's exactly what it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we will continue to push that onto our children and the next generations to come. All right. So that's one certainty if we continue down this road, down this system that we've been using for the last 50 plus years now, since 1971, really. All right, when they took us off the gold standard. The other thing that's a certainty is that we will continue to be enslaved to this system. When a government has a fiat currency like they do now, the government has the power. When the government has to adhere to real money, gold and silver, that will restrict them from how much they can spend to do things that we don't want them to do, it is we, the people, that have the power. God gave us gold and silver because God knew that it was the people's money. Those beasts in Washington and other government, they took God's money, they put it to the side, and they made their own money. You see, a lot of people have left like in comments that passage where it says that one day they will be throwing their gold and silver onto the streets. All right. And what I think they don't understand is this, is that where it says they, what it means by they is the money changers. That is what they means in that passage. They will be throwing their gold and silver onto the streets. They is the money changers. And they will be throwing what? Their gold and silver. The money changers will be throwing their gold and silver onto the streets. What is their gold and silver? It's not God's money. It's the gold and silver that they made for themselves, which is fiat currency. One day they will be throwing their fiat currency. Right, ladies and gentlemen? I know I sound like I'm preaching, but listen, one day the money changers will be throwing their fiat currency onto the streets because it will be worthless, because it is not God's money. God put gold and silver on the earth as an element so that it could not be recreated by man, because only man can cheat man. And therefore, man created his own gold and silver, fiat currency. And that is the gold and silver that they will be throwing onto the street one day. And what day will that be? Well, I'm assuming that that day will be God's choosing. He will choose when that day is. But the question that you have to ask yourself is this, because you won't be able to stop that day from coming. No one will. Your question to yourself is, will you be prepared for when that day comes? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And if your answer is an honest no, then do those things that you need to do now in order to get prepared. Because the day is coming, whether we like it or not. That's just a fact. All right, so let's see what's next after this that we want to talk about. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and set the stage up for this next one. I've been not really following. I've just been hearing about this here lately. That after this thing happened with Israel, that the capital was overtaken by some protesters, right, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm just wondering, does anybody know what's happened to those protesters that overtook the capital, right? Because while we are here talking about Ukraine, about Russia, about Israel, about Palestine, about Iran, about Jordan, Egypt, all of these other places over there in the Middle East. While we're talking about all of those, and while we're hearing about these people that overtook the capital, and we're asking ourselves, well, what's going to happen to them? Remember what happened on J6? Well, what's going to happen to these people? These are the people that we ought to be talking about. And I'm guilty about this. I should talk about this more, because it's happening now, and it's happening to Americans right now, and it's been happening to them for a very long time. Now, check this out. This is disgusting. This is happening in the United States of America, supposedly the freest nation on the face of the earth. This is the nation where all these other immigrants from all these other countries want to come to, because it's such a free nation. But we are so far away from freedom that it is very sad, ladies and gentlemen. It is somewhat sad to say that we are the freest nation in the world, ladies and gentlemen, when we pretty much are the freest nation in the world. But things like this are allowed to happen, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen. 1,000 days without a trial. This gentleman here is one of the J6 prisoners who's been in a jail cell for 23 hours, 15 minutes a day for 1,000 days. I believe it was as of the 12th of October, I believe was his 1,000th day. He has not gone to trial. He didn't commit any kind of horrible act, ladies and gentlemen, but he's been in jail for 1,000 days. And while we argue with each other about all of the things that we argue with each other about, because we get fooled and coerced by the mainstream media and by these pundits, by these talking heads from Washington, who really don't love their country. Most of them don't, in my opinion. We forget about the people that are Americans that are here in the United States as political prisoners. And this gentleman is one of them. 1,000 days. in a jail cell for a nonviolent crime. And it just makes me wonder, will anybody call out for those people that just penetrated the Capitol, protesting for what's going on in Israel and Palestine? Is anyone going to cry out for them? I've always mentioned this. I've mentioned this several times in the past. And I've told those that are the crazies, I says, you better be careful what it is that you wish for. Because one day the tables may be turned. When it comes to censorship, when it comes to jailing people just because they were exercising their First Amendment right, when it comes to gagging an ex-president of the United States. I just read about this, I think yesterday, that Donald Trump got a gag order from this judge. How do you do that to an ex-president of the United States and get away with it? Ladies and gentlemen, it's because the system is a one-party system, all right? And if an outsider tries to get into that one-party system and disrupt it, he's going to pay the price, and that's just the way it is. But ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the people that we ought to be talking about on an everyday basis. I mean, I pray for this poor gentleman and his family who's been in jail for over 1,000 days, ladies and gentlemen. And check this guy out right here. Let me tell you the story on this gentleman right here. This guy just got sentenced to 7 months in jail. You know what for? Because he put up a meme. He put up a meme. I believe it was, let me see if I have it over here. Here it is right here. This guy put up a meme. Let me show you the meme real quick. I'm sorry. I just gotta. Okay, boom, boom. Right here. Okay. Okay. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen, because you need to see this. You need to see this to understand exactly where I'm coming from. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move. Boom. I'm going to share that one with you here in a second. Share screen. Boom. Right here. All right. So check this out, ladies and gentlemen. This gentleman right here, he put up a meme back in 2016. Okay. And during the 2016 contest, all right, the contest for president, he put up a meme, and this was the meme right here. It says, avoid the line, vote from home, and text this lady's name right here, right here. Pretty much kind of like fooling people into thinking that they can just vote from home instead of going to the polls, right? So he's going to jail for 7 months, right? And now he admitted that it was a mistake, that he was just trolling, that it was just a meme, and stuff like that. Well, he's going to jail for 7 months, ladies and gentlemen, but check this out. This person right here, during the exact same election, this person put up the exact same meme, but opposite. So here she's saying, hey, Trump supporters, don't go to the polls. Go ahead and text this so that you can vote from home as well. Well, guess who's going to jail? He's going to jail. But is she going to jail? No, she's not going to jail, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see right here. We are in a time, ladies and gentlemen, in our history where this empire is almost over. We are going to fall from within. We are going to fall from within. Why is that? 2 reasons. And I've talked about these 2 reasons several times. And now this is my opinion, all right? And I'm sure that we can expand on what I'm about to say easily. But I believe that there are 2 pillars that hold up a government and make that government a lasting government, meaning a government that will allow that country to flourish and last for a very long time, right? More than the average 250 years that a nation lasts, right? And one of those is morals. Once a government relinquishes its morals, once it stops obeying God, once it, and ladies and gentlemen, when I say God, I think that whatever God it is that you pray to, that's fine, right? That's fine, because I think that all roads lead to the same place, right? You're just taking a different route, right? And that's my opinion, right? But once a nation gives up its morals, that's one of the pillars. It's on its way out, and also it's financial. It's financials, its monetary system. Once it tarnishes that, it's on its way out. Our monetary system, our financial system, has been corrupt for decades. we're on our way out, ladies and gentlemen, unless we fix this and fix it fast. And as far as our morals have to do with rule of law, right? Once we don't have a rule of law and our morals are corrupt, we are on our way out, ladies and gentlemen. And what else can we do? What can we do to save the system the way that it is now, where the rule of law is no more? And what morals? I don't know what morals. I don't see any. I don't see any in our judicial system. I don't see any in our governance, in the executive branch. I don't see any in our representatives, or the legislature. And I don't even see any in the judiciary, ladies and gentlemen, because the judiciary itself ought to be saying this is not constitutional, but they get to decide what they want to talk about. They get to decide today, oh, we'll decide whether this is unconstitutional or not another day. We've got too much on our jacket right now. We have too much to worry about right now to decide this. It's either unconstitutional or it's constitutional, one or the other. What's so hard about it? But we have a system that has lost its rule of law, its morals, and the financial system is on its way out. So, ladies and gentlemen, what can you do? Can you do anything to change this on a personal basis? Nothing. There's nothing you can do. Not on a personal basis. Can you do something to change what's going to happen? So, why is it that I say prepare? That's why. Because there's nothing that any one of us can do. And the bad people, right? The bad people have won this fight. They have won the fight where they keep us divided. So we have to prepare on an individual basis and hopefully on a community basis as well. So let's see. I think there's something else here that I wanted to cover. Let's see here. Another one, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is going to be a disaster. If we continue to go down this road, it's going to be a disaster and it's going to cost a lot of lives. World's electric grid is incapable of supporting renewable energy goals. This renewable energy, this green stuff, is a pipe dream. Anyone that can do basic math and does a little bit of research knows for a fact that this renewable energy on a grandeur, right, pretty much covering the earth, even covering just the United States, is a pipe dream. It will never work. We don't have the resources needed, nor do we have the infrastructure. Even if we had the resources that we needed in order to create the infrastructure, we don't have the infrastructure, ladies and gentlemen. They want to put the cart in front of the horse, meaning that they want to have all EVs in America by 2035, I think it is. They want to have nothing but EVs in America without the infrastructure to power the EVs, which is not going to matter anyways, ladies and gentlemen, because you're not going to be able to afford one. And even if you are able to afford one, you're not going to be able to use it because you're not going to be able to power it. And even if you are able to power it, you're not going to be able to use it because you're going to be living in your 15-minute city as long as they get their way. And I wanted to show you this as well. Oh, sorry about that. I wanted to show you this as well. This is our SPR, our Strategic Petroleum Reserves. Right now, it's the lowest that it's been since about 1980, since about 1982 or so. It's the lowest that it's been. Excuse me, since about 1984 or so, it's the lowest that it's been. We have right now, if we had a crisis right now where we couldn't produce any oil or import any oil, we have enough oil to power the United States for 17 days at its current pace. So we have enough oil to power the US for about 17 days, ladies and gentlemen. Right? So think about what if something crazy happens? What if something that's natural? What if we had that Madrid earthquake, whatever it is? I don't know the name, but one of those earthquakes or one of those eruptions or something that really caused a lot of devastation and we couldn't transport oil. What if we do go into a full out conflict in the Middle East and they close up the Strait of Hormuz, where a lot of the world's oil is exported from, is routed from, right? What happens then when we cannot import oil? What happens when Venezuela, who just agreed to sell the United States oil, says, no, we're not selling you any oil? What happens when the EU cannot get any diesel from Russia? What happens when they cannot get any diesel from India, who gets its oil from Russia? What happens, ladies and gentlemen, when we only have 17 days of oil left? It's It's so easy right now. It's so easy. I have no idea why they haven't done it yet. It's so easy for China to invade Taiwan right now. What are we going to do? Are we going to be in Israel? Are we going to be in Ukraine? Are we going to be in Taiwan? Are we going to be over there also in the Middle East with Iran when they start doing stuff to restrict the passage of oil through the Straits of Hormuz and us not being able to get oil? What are we going to do? Are we also going to send military over to Venezuela to make them send us oil when they decide not to send us oil? I've mentioned this in the past and I still stand by it. Sanctions don't work. How well have these sanctions worked, ladies and gentlemen? Let me ask you, how well have they worked? Have they done what they were supposed to do? Have we prospered the way that we were supposed to prosper by putting these sanctions? The only thing that they've done is they've hurt people. That's it. That's all these sanctions have done is hurt people. But now they want to bring us into another war. They want to take us into a world war. Why? Because they're broke. That's all there's to it. They are broke, and the only way they can stay in power is if they continue to create money out of thin air. And a great reason to create money out of thin air without the people complaining about it is to take you to war. It's worked in the past. Why won't it work this time? The people will fall for it just like they usually do and have in the past. I think this is the last thing right here that I was going to talk to you about. No, this is the last thing right here. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that up right now. Let's bring this on. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this real quick to show you this, because it's important that you see this, all right? And then we'll go ahead and open it up to the floor, ladies and gentlemen. Man, I can't believe this. It's already an hour and 20 minutes we've been on. Wow. Incredible. Here we go. Check this out. Okay, check this out. There's a few things here, ladies and gentlemen, that I really want to show you. Let me make sure you're seeing this here. All right. A lot of people focus on this. $33.6 trillion national debt. Look at that. Debt per citizen finally crossed over $100,000. $260,000 debt per taxpayer. Okay. But this is not really what you should be looking at. All right. This right here, sure. 33.6 or $7 trillion in debt. Okay. Look at our deficit, $1.8 trillion, which means that we've only taken in 4.3 trillion. And we've had to borrow, we've had to add to this debt 1.8 trillion. But this is what you really want to look at. You go all the way down here, okay? Check this out. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Look down here, okay? Look down here. Social Security liability. That is an unfunded liability. That's why it's called a liability, because the government doesn't have the money to pay this, but it owes it. Okay? It's $23 trillion Social Security liability. Where's the government going to get that money, ladies and gentlemen? It's going to tax you and your children. Okay? Medicare liability, $36 trillion. Where's the government going to get that money, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, it's going to tax you and your children. But let's take a look at all of the unfunded liabilities together. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States government of America has made $195 trillion worth of promises. And do you really think that the United States of America will be able to fulfill $195 trillion worth of promises in addition to the $34 trillion that it owes in national debt? All you have to do is ask yourself that question. And then that should motivate you into protecting yourself in whatever way you can. If you can only protect yourself by buying food and putting it away, so be it. Do that. If you can only protect yourself by buying food and then maybe a little bit of silver every once in a while, so be it. Do that. Go ahead and work it all the way up to where, hey, if I have hundreds of thousands of dollars, do I really want to leave it at the risk of the government defaulting? Because we've already defaulted. It's just that the rest of the world and the people have not caught on. But do you want to risk your wealth, all of the hours and days and months and years that you worked so that you can retire? so that the dollars that you earn can become worthless because the government will have no choice but to inflate away its worth. Why? Because we owe, as a nation, more than $200 trillion in debt and in promises that we've made to the people. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if that doesn't motivate you to get as prepared as you possibly can, if it doesn't motivate you to get out as much debt as you possibly can, then nothing will. If you think that everything is going to be okay, just like it has been for the last several years, it's been all right. All right, that's okay. God bless you. But I can tell you this for a fact, everything's not going to be okay. And the people that think that everything's going to be okay are the people that are going to suffer the most. And why do you want to suffer when you have time to prepare now to avoid that suffering? I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. That, ladies and gentlemen, concludes my presentation for today. Let me go ahead and say thank you very much to Maggie. Thank you, Maggie, for that super sticker. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in today. I think we can go ahead and take it for a few minutes, a little Q&A for a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. And then I'm going to go ahead and call it in for the day. Let me see. Tammy's Southern Louisiana home. That debt clock is mind-blowing, Tammy says. President should have that one on. Oh, yeah. I mean, they don't care about the debt. Ladies and gentlemen, politicians do not care about the debt one bit. All they care about is that the American people can continue to work to service the interest on that debt. That's the truth. That's all they care about. They could care less how big that debt is. All they care about is that, number one, they really would like for interest rates to get low, because the lower that interest rates go, the more they can borrow with less interest paid. But what they really care about, first and foremost, is that the American people will continue to work so they can continue to be taxed, so that the debt can be serviced, and so that we can keep borrowing money. That's what they care about the most. Oh, this is a great deal. Nutrient Survival is doing 20% off build your own bundle sale. Yeah, I mean, 20% off is pretty darn good. Yeah, go ahead and take advantage of that, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? You know what Nutrient Survival is doing, by the way, okay? Nutrient Survival is, for those of you that don't know, Nutrient Survival is going to be buying a turkey dinner to about 100 service members, families that reside, excuse me, here in Fort Wainwright, which is the military base, the Army military base that's near us. Fort Wainwright, and I believe they're also going to help out Eielson, which is an Air Force base. But Nutrient Survival is doing that, and they're taking a few bucks from each order that people place and taking some of that money and putting it towards that. So go ahead and support them. In this case, you can get 20% off, build your own bundle, which is a great deal. And ladies and gentlemen, you don't even have, I'm not even, not that you have to, I can't make you. I won't even ask you to use my link, all right? Because I don't need to make a commission off of that, because I know that they're using some of these sale monies to donate towards the turkeys. So just go to nutrientsurvival.com. Don't even use my link. Just go over there and get your 20% off building your own bundle. And you doing that is going to help to feed service members' families a turkey dinner this Thanksgiving for those service members that can't afford to buy their own. Believe it or not, about 20 to 25% of all service members in the military, they're on welfare because they can't afford to buy food off of what they earn, usually the lower enlisted. But go ahead and support Nutrient Survival. Not only do they have the very best, in my opinion, very best freeze-dried food and most nutrient-dense freeze-dried food in the market, but they're good people and they love America, and that's what it's about. And something else before I forget. So people, please send me an email. Stop leaving it in the comments, ladies and gentlemen, because if not, I may miss it. All right. I ask that if you know of a company that makes American made, 100% American made, right? American made, American stores, made here in America, gotten here in America, everything. Not that they ordered their parts from China or somewhere else and put it here, made it here, but that it's 100% American made. Send me an email and put American made in the subject line with a link so that I can research it. And I'm going to go ahead and create a section in the description of my videos for all American made companies. All right, ladies and gentlemen. And because right now, a lot of the people that I do business with, they don't have American made products. Why? Because they're just not made here. And a lot of times when they are made here, they're so expensive that people just won't buy them. All right. So send me the links of American made, and I'll put a section in my description where I just put American made product. That way, if there is a company that sells solar generators that's American made, I'll have it down there, but you'll be able to check it against other companies that are not. And you can make up your own mind whether you want to spend the money on the ones that's made here or not. In some cases, I know for a fact that you won't, because it's so much more expensive that people just don't have that money nowadays. But you'll have the option because you'll have the information. So please send me that. People have been giving me names and leaving me names like on comments, and I've looked them up, and some of them are hit and miss. But if you send it to me in an email with a link, that will be so much helpful. I would love to have a section in my description of just American made products so that you can have a choice to go and get that if you want to get it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, slow and steady wins the race. And even if you can just get away from buying from a big box store and buying something that's made here in the US, just a little bit here and a little bit there, every little bit helps, ladies and gentlemen. Every penny that we can take away from an ESG compliant company, the UN's ESG program, SDG 2030, Sustainable Development Goals from the UN, which has branched down to ESG that they're putting on banks and corporations. Every penny that we can take away from an ESG compliant corporation and give it to an American company that actually loves this country, every penny helps, right? Little by little, we can actually make it work. All right. But anyways, having said that, let me go ahead and bring it on down. Make sure that I didn't miss a quick question. Yes, I've been talking about this for years. Evita, stock up on cooking oil, olive oil, wheat and rice. Prices are already climbing. Olive oil has gone through the roof in the last couple of years, and I've been screaming about it for the last couple of years. Olive oil is going to double in price, and it's more than doubled in price in the last couple of years. Right? Rice is going to double in price. Some brands, some types have doubled in price. Some have not. Take advantage of it. Rice is still very inexpensive when you compare it to the calories that you're getting. Take advantage of it now, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to last forever. Not only are we going to be going into an inflationary, scenario here in the future, but also we have to consider that we've entered a grand solar minimum, right? And things are going to become scarce, but it's not going to last forever, right? So there is hope, but isn't it nice to have hope and also be prepared? Absolutely. I believe so. Yes, me too. Nutrient Survival is awesome. I not only do I love their products and their stuff, but their people are my friends and probably closer to family than friends, really. Tracy Bailey asked, Rudy, have you heard about the draft being reinstated? So I heard about it. I've read a couple of things about it. This is what I say, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, whenever I say this, someone comes in the stream halfway through, hasn't heard half of the stuff that I've talked about before, anything like that, right? Because not everyone stays for the whole thing, and almost no one stays for the whole thing, right? Except for our awesome moderators, right? So thank you, ladies. All right. But I would never, ever again, ever fight in a war that was not right here. The next time that I ever pick up a firearm in defense of this country is going to be here in this country. Before I use a firearm ever again against an enemy, it will be the enemy that's knocking at my door, right? It will be the enemy that's coming through my border, through my country. It will not be me getting on a ship or getting on a airplane or whatever going somewhere else. So if people understood that they have a choice, and if people understood that they're being duped and that it is their children that's going to be paying the price for these big wigs in the military industrial complex to ride in their $50 million planes, and live in their 40,000 square foot homes. If people only knew that it's their children's lives that are being given up for these bastards that are freaking living it up and enriching themselves off the lives of our children, if people only knew, they would say no. But God forbid if you say that and people say, oh, you're so unpatriotic. Why? Because I don't want to send my kids to die in a foreign country so some bastard up in Washington can freaking get rich? I'm unpatriotic because I want my children to live, because I want them to have a future. I'm unpatriotic because I'm tired of the government stealing our damn wealth through inflation. I'm unpatriotic because I'm tired of the government giving our wealth away to other nations while our people here suffer. I'm unpatriotic because of that. I will never again raise my damn firearm to someone else outside of this country unless they're in this country threatening my people. If people understood that we have the power, we wouldn't have to worry about no damn draft. The only people that worry about a draft are people that know for a fact that we don't have the power, because they misunderstand what it means that we have the power. We are the people. We are the people. It is we. You know, we the people. You know that document that says we the people? That they're talking about us. It wasn't the people that wrote it back there. Yeah, it was them. But that we the people, it's us, ladies and gentlemen. It's us. We are the people, not the 537, right? That are stealing dreams, that are sending kids off to be cannon fodder, that don't care a damn. I'm going to end it up with this before I lose it. I remember when I will never forget this because I got so pissed off, okay? I remember when President Obama was talking about Frankie Phillips, right? Who's my brother. He got killed in Afghanistan. He got blown up. They couldn't even do an open casket, right? They couldn't do none of that stuff, right? So when he left to war that last time, and he saw his little girl and his wife, that's the last time they ever saw him, because they couldn't even see him because they couldn't do an open casket, right? Well, President Obama was talking about him and praising him and saying how the great medic he was, and that he was always there for his troopers, and et cetera, et cetera. And all I kept thinking about was Frankie Phillips was not a medic. He was an infantryman. He was a Ranger, qualified staff sergeant infantryman. He wasn't a medic. And how the hell dare anyone talk about him when they don't even know him? And all I was thinking about was how these bastards, they talk about us, the people that they send to die, to get blown up, to step on landmines, to get blown out of the air in helicopters, to get shot up. They talk about us like they give a crap. Ladies and gentlemen, are you really going to allow your children to go and fight for a group of people that don't give a damn about them or you? If you are, then yeah, you should be worried about the draft. Me, I ain't worried about it. And my children aren't either. Having said that, go ahead and give it all the thumbs down that you want if that triggered you, but that's where I stand. Have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the end, but in the end, I'm assured that good will win over evil. And that's the fight that we're having right now. It is a fight between good and evil, ladies and gentlemen. But I hope that you're preparing, and that you stay prepared, and that you help your neighbors, ladies and gentlemen, when the time comes. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. God bless every one of you. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and put in all capital letters, I am new, so that we can shout you during our outro, and so that everyone that's here can welcome you into our community. I'm going to be doing a very, very fast Friday safety brief. All right. We always have a safety brief on Friday live streams. You've had a hard week of work, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure. Have a great time this evening, but don't drink and drive. If you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Get a designated driver. Take a taxi cab. Get an Uber. But make it home safe, because your family needs you, and so do we. Other than that, have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend ahead. God bless every one of you. God bless America. Remember to be good to each other, because when good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to every one of you and your families, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for all of your support. I'm Alaska Prepper, and here's our outro. And we are out. God bless you all. No? Well, ladies and gentlemen, our outro's not working. Oh, you know what? I know why our outro's not working, ladies and gentlemen. I believe it's because when I have my computer re-imaged. So I guess we don't have an outro today. Let me see if we have any newbies here. I didn't even think about that. Thank you, Margarita. Thank you. So good seeing you, by the way. Psych. All right, I'm going to go on. Have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. God bless every one of you.